Hello, I am Shyam Mantina. I welcome you to Nyaya Prasadam, the true source of quick learning of legal aspects for students and for those aspiring for competitive exams. In this session, I'm going to talk about what is the meaning of sale under Transfer of Property Act. We'll discuss the definition of sale as well as the essentials required for a proper sale and the various rights and duties of seller and buyer. Sale can be defined as a transfer of property ownership with a consideration or in exchange of a price which has been already paid or promised or paid in part and promised in part. However, this particular sale has got certain essentials which is really required. The very first essentiality for sale is that requires two parties. Without having two parties, you do not proceed with a sale. The second thing is there should be a subject matter. There should be a subject which they are going to talk about or which they are going to deal under the transaction of sale. The third one is there should be a consideration, there should be a price without which this is not considered as a sale. And not only these three essentials, the final one, the fourth essential for sale is the delivery of property. We need four essentials. We need four essentials for sale transaction. The first one is two parties. Second one is there should be a subject. Third one is there should have a price associated with it or a consideration should be there. And then the fourth one is delivery of property. Since I said there are two parties as part of essentials for sale transaction, one party is called as the seller. Seller is the one who is selling the property or who is interested in leaving the ownership to somebody else for a consideration. Similarly, the buyer is the one who is looking forward to get the ownership by paying a consideration amount for the property. So from these two parties, each party has got their own duties. So let's see the duties of the seller. So the seller duties we can divide into again two types. First one is before selling the subject matter or before performing the sale. The second one is after performing the sale. So let's see each of this. The very first duty is to disclose any material defects that are there in the property. In the event if there are any disputes with the court of law or with anybody else, or if there are any other matter which the buyer need to know, those things, those particular aspects he must disclose to the prospective buyer. The second duty is he must provide the document of title. He must produce the document of title for verification so that he can consider buying that particular property. The third duty is to answer any questions. He may have number of questions. So he may have number of questions. So this seller need to answer all the questions to his satisfaction in order to proceed to complete to the next course of action towards the transaction of sale. The next duty is to execute the conveyance. Executing the conveyance is basically performing all necessary things so that the transfer of property happens smoothly. Now, the next duty is to take care of that property until it is being handed over to the new owner. And further, the last one is to ensure if there are any outgoings, such as any property tax or any other government payments pending on this particular property, are to be paid by this particular seller. So these things are considered as the essential duties for the seller before performing the transaction of sale. Similarly, there are certain transactions which are listed as the duties which he need to perform after performing the sale. Let us look into those transactions as well. After performing the sale of the property, the duties of the seller is to ensure that the delivery of the possession is handed over to the new owner, that is the buyer. The second duty is implied covenant for the title, which means making him as the implied title holder of the property. That means he is not moving ahead with anyone else on dealing with this particular property in terms of any further transactions pertaining to a new sale or lease or anything as such. The third duty is delivering the title deeds upon receiving the entire consideration amount, whatever was pending or whatsoever he was supposed to pay, whatsoever is pending to be received. On receiving such due amount, he must hand over the title deed and ensuring he gets the title and the possession of the property. This is the third duty. Now, even the buyer has got certain duties to perform. This normally come into the picture while the transaction is going on. There is not a hard and fast rule, but as it is, he's going to be the future or he is going to be the new owner of the property. He may choose to execute while the sale transaction is in course of happening, or either before or after that. So the duties are, the very first duty is to let the seller know that if there are any particular aspects which or due to which the property may be valued more than what he is actually trying to sell for. So that would probably avoid any future conflicts between or future disputes between the buyer and seller. This is one of the duty. The second duty is to pay the price for the property, whatever the price has been agreed for, either in part or in full, in order to make sure he'll get the possession and the title. The third one is to take care of any losses of the property. So once he makes a move to go ahead buying the particular property, in the event if there is any loss for whatsoever the reason to that particular property, he need to take care of that particular loss or whatsoever the agreement between the seller and buyer. The next duty is to take care of any payments is public payments or the fees is whatsoever required to be paid to the government or the local government or municipalities whatsoever, to ensure that the property is free from any debts to be paid to the government or any legal authorities. So these are the duties of the buyer. We have learned what is a sale transaction, who is a buyer, who is a seller, what are the essential aspects of sale transaction, and we have also learned the different duties of buyer and seller. So we have completed learning about the transaction of sale under Transfer of Property Act. It is pretty simple. I'm sure you can reproduce as and when you want. And make sure you subscribe. Please let me know if you have got any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer. Thank you so much for watching my video. Have a good day. Bye bye.